Raiders! It's Raiders Fan Radio, a podcast by Raiders fans for Raiders fans who are the only fans that matter. That's right, Murf and Sonny from the Dago Dungeon. You got it right here, live.
Touchdown! Kenny Stabler goes all the way.
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing. Just win, baby.
Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
Well, Al, it is no longer needed to say, I think this team can win, because this team can win. They are 2-0 on the season, and it is a beautiful evening, day, whenever you're listening to this podcast. It is a beautiful time to be a Raiders fan. Welcome in to Raiders Fan Radio. I am your host, Sonny Dago. With me in studio, as always, is my co-host, Murf. Murf, welcome to episode number 47, the Tyrone Wheatley episode. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's nice to be back here in Raiders Fan Radio. Almost feel we didn't like miss a week, but we kind of like rolled over a week, and so it almost felt like we missed a week. So along with the Oakland Raiders returning to greatness, we are as well right here on Raiders Fan Radio. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we're kind of out of sync here because the season started. Let's see what happened. We were doing a show every we recording Saturdays or Fridays, dropping it Saturday night or early Sunday morning during the off season. And then when the season started, we went to the Titans game. So we did our pregame show, which is really fun. You know, I think we rival NFL Network or ESPN already. You know, what do you think, Murph?
I think so too. It depends on who's on the air too.
It's true. It's not us. It's who our guests are. So then, the pregame show, we did that. Then we released that as episode number 46. But that was a week and 2-3 days ago. So yeah, we kind of missed a week there. But then we did a bunch of coverage. I don't know if y'all seen it, but I kicked Murph's arse at a 40-yard dash at Vanderbilt University.
You cheated.
I'm not saying they flew in anybody, but Kirk Herbstreit was there. He may have watched. I'm not sure. It was a beautiful thing, Murph. Are you still? Are you recovered?
Yeah. I'm good. I had a long list of lingering injuries that kept me from being at peak performance, and we haven't gotten the test results back post as you got your random test by the sanctioning body of the 40-yard dash at Vanderbilt Stadium. But I'm pretty sure that it will come back positive at that point, which you will have to vacate your title, and then I will take the correct place atop the podium as the fastest member of the Raiders Fan Radio crew.
Murph, the only thing I'm going to test positive for is Mountain Dew, corn dogs, and Crispitos. If those are illegal for racing,
high blood pressure.
Yeah. I'm lucky I walked out of that damn thing, okay, Murph? I'm lucky I walked out of that.
That's when you said, I think my heart is 0-1. That was the funniest damn line, dude. That was great.
My heart is 0-1.
That was good. That was fun. Hey, we had a good time at the Titans game. Obviously watching the Raiders win, and we've talked a lot about that game at this point, so I won't rehash any of it, but I will just say this. Raider Nation rules. The listeners to Raiders Fan Radio rules. It was great having our family together. Just a great time and a great week. And man, I'm telling you, this time of year is just the absolute best.
Yeah, football's back in the air, you know? It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Once again, appreciate Scott Winter stopping by. Jimmy Z. Bach up there and wherever he lives up in the Great Lakes. Who else stopped by? Kevin the Raider Nerd. How cool was that, seeing him driving on the freeway after the game? That was pretty fun. And then our good buddy Canadian Steve. Is that what he's going by?
Yeah, Raider Steve. Yep. Good to see him.
And then Johnny Pham. So good times there. Good tailgate. Lots of good food. And, Raiders are now 2-0, Murph. I feel like we have to talk about the Titans game, but we already did, so I'm all out of whack here. Anyway, What's not out of whack is our mailbag, which is called the Sea of Fans Mailbag. And we're going to jump in there right now.
There he is, fading, looking. He's under the gun. He's tied. He throws. It is. Oh, he caught it.
Sonny, this week starting us off in the Sea of Fans mailbag, we have, of course, our San Diego correspondent, Johnny in San Diego. And this message he left us this week was a little bit garbled, so you may have trouble hearing some of it, but we're going to talk about it after we listen to it so we can decipher it together.
What's up, boys? Johnny in San Diego. Can't wait to listen to the Tailgate Pod. I haven't been able to jump on that, but just wanted to give you a quick observation from week one. A couple things. Morrow, he was pretty good. Whenever he got in there, I think he laid the lick on DeMarco Murray that put him up in the air and threw him off the field pretty much. Vanderdoes is a key. You imagine that guy with an off season of just focusing on just lifting weights and eating steaks. That guy's going to be a beast. Who else? Markel Lee looked pretty good against the run. I didn't really get to see him too many times covering tight ends. Covering tight ends is still our biggest weakness, no doubt. I don't know what they're going to do there. But Joseph clearly wasn't the choice to cover those tight ends. Lastly, Pagano. I know Peyton Orange Jr. was calling the plays, but Pagano was coaching, dude. Pagano was on the sidelines coaching up a storm. Every time I got a chance to see, they panned to the sideline. Pagano was talking up and just coaching, yelling at the guys. Anyway, so I touched on the defense. That was amazing, better than expected, of course. Offense, car is car. Putting beast mode on the pitch count is genius. Man, what else can you say? I'm totally hyped, dude. I just got my ticket for the Raiders game in LA against the Chargers. Paid a pretty price. We'll be back in LA. You know, Ice Cube is going to get NWA back together, and they're going to do a concert before the game. It's going to be amazing. All right, boys. Peace.
So Johnny in San Diego, a couple things there that he touched on is that, and I know it was a little difficult to hear, but he talks about Eddie Vanderdoes. He talked a lot about the Tennessee game, kind of gave his highlights of what he saw in the game. I thought that highlighting Vanderdoes and what Vanderdoes did in that game, especially getting the push on Jack Conklin, man, that was just amazing. What an incredible play. We're going to talk about the Jets here in a minute, so we'll get into what he did in week 2, but that was a good highlight. Talking about Pagano on the sidelines, we were sitting on the opposite sideline. We were sitting on the Titans side of the field, so we couldn't see the really, not in enough detail to know what was going on the sidelines, and so that was good to hear that Pagano was coaching up a storm over there. And then, hey, he's got tickets to the LA Chargers game, which I don't know if you saw, Sonny, here, what it looked like for their 37,000 that were in attendance to watch the Chargers play against the Dolphins this week, which of course they lost, thankfully. And now the now the LA Chargers are 0-2. There's Owen Wilson, there's Clive Owen, and there's 0-2, which are the Los Angeles Chargers. And so I'm glad that he's got tickets to that game. And yeah, I'm sure they were expensive because there's hardly any seats there, right? And so that's going to be a very interesting scene there. And I didn't know that Ice Cube was getting NWA back together for a concert before the show. Like,
I didn't know that either.
Whoa, that's pretty awesome stuff. So yeah, so great call there from Johnny in San Diego.
He mentioned Morrow, and I think we're going to talk about him in a little bit. He also mentioned Vanderdoes, and dude, Vanderdoes has been dealing. Like, he's not blowing up the stat chart, but when you watch him play, he's routinely getting double teams. He's knocking guys back. I think it was the Tennessee game or the Jets game where he knocked the guy flat on his freaking arse.
Oh, that was Jack Conklin. That was a freaking...
Okay, that was Conklin against the Titans, yeah. And that Conklin's one of the best in the league, right at tackle.
He's great. He's a great all-pro right tackle. Absolutely.
So, Vanderdoes is stepping up. Conley, I mean, we'll get into this in a little bit, but Conley stepped up against the Jets. The Raiders rookies are having some good times already.
Yeah.
Some good times. So, hey, is Johnny from San Diego, is he like our first, clone, if or another word for, our routine caller and stuff like that?
Routine caller? Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of like our first kind of guy. We should make it. We should make him a made man. If you got that music somewhere. But yeah, he's kind of one of our first guys to call in on a routine basis. He apologized to us for not calling in for a week. Yeah, we were waiting for you, Johnny. Where were you, bro? That's good. That's good stuff. I like that, man. Love the calls, Johnny. Keep them coming, garbled or not. And we definitely want to hear how that game down there goes in the Raiders' third home market. Murf, do we now have 3 markets? I guess for your Raiders.
I would argue that it might be number 2. Ooh.
Yeah. Order wise, it's probably 2. But now we got we got
saying.
Oakland, LA, and then Vegas. Like we got 3 homes. We got 3 homes.
I don't want to alienate anybody, but yes, let's just say this.
Yeah. We got 2 homes in the back room we can sneak around and stay in, but
yeah, LA is a very, very strong market for the Raiders. We'll just say that. Very strong market.
All right, you know why we're here. So if you got any doubts or reservations, now is the time to say so. No one will think any less of you, because once you enter this family, there's no getting out.
The thing that made Jimmy so happy that morning was that this was the day that Tommy was being made. Jimmy was so excited, you'd think he was being made. Jimmy and I could never be made because we had Irish blood. It didn't even matter that my mother was Sicilian. See, it's the highest honor they can give you. It means you belong to a family and a crew. It means that nobody can f*** around with you. It also means you could f*** around with anybody just as long as they aren't also a member.
There it is. There's our old maid intro from the Sports Dagos.
Congratulations, Johnny from San Diego. You're officially a made man here on Raiders Fan Radio. All right. Well, that was all the segment for Sea of Fans Mailbag. Tune in next week for...
Well, we could say, we don't have anything to play. There's no other voicemails that we want to play. But I will say this, though. The interaction on social media... From that perspective has been phenomenal this week. I think we've had more interaction with folks this week than we have ever on the show. And so whether that's, the comments on our social media pages or the emails and the interactions from our videos and just the overall participation. And we see the numbers, man, and they're looking good. And so thank you to you all. It's killer. And maybe we'd start pulling some comments since we do get so many comments now. Maybe we fit that into the Sea of Fans segment. Then maybe we start pulling some of those comments because we get some awesome feedback, not only about the show, but of course about the Raiders.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. And kudos to you. Got our Instagram account over 1,000. So that was good. That's kind of all been your cup of tea there. So congrats on that. That's pretty cool. Murph, I'm kind of depressed. I just seen Toys R Us has filed bankruptcy. Yeah, that's not good. All right, but moving on.
Quit buying stuff on Amazon.
I know, right? It's just too easy. Comes here in 2 days. All right, let's hear from Uncle Mosh, and then we'll come back and talk about the Raiders versus the Jets.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Uncle Mosh. That's right. Somebody actually claims Sonny and Murf. These two. Check them out on their website, RaidersFanRadio.com. You can friend them on Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio, or you can like their fan page at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Hey, I don't tweet. I don't even know how to use a Twitter, but they do. You can tweet them at Raiders Fan Radio. Call them. Leave a voicemail if you want. Go old school. 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Hey, do this. Please subscribe and rate Raiders Fan Radio on iTunes. You can listen to the show on all podcast services like Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, and many, many more. Okay, am I done? Did I say all the stuff I was supposed to say? All right, I'm out of here.
All right, Murph, we're going to talk about the Raiders versus the Jets right now. Coming up after that, we got an interview with 3 lovely ladies from some Raiders booster clubs out there in the northeastern quadrant of the United States of America. We got Lizette from the D.C. Metro Raiders Club, May from the Northern Virginia Raiders Booster Club, and Arnina from the Hampton Roads Raiders Club. We got an interview with all 3 ladies coming up here shortly. They're going to talk about if you're a visiting Raider fan going to the D.C. area for the game on Sunday, you're going to want to check out the events they're throwing. So we interview them. After that, we'll talk about 3 reasons why the Redskins are going to beat the Raiders and 3 reasons why the Raiders are going to beat the Redskins. I got the Redskins this week. Murph's taking the Raiders. I'm a little more sympathetic to the, Native American cause. And then after that, it'll be Murf's Black Hole of the Internet. And then we're out. So, Murf, let's jump right into it. Raiders versus the Jets. Biggest takeaway now that we've had 2 days to kind of simmer down a little bit. Our takes are going to be affable right now. What's your biggest takeaway from the Raiders versus Jets game?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, let me tell you what the first thing that comes to mind is when it came to watching this game on TV. Dan Fouts sucks.
I hate Dan Fouts.
Oh, he's awful. And look, I know that he's a former Charger, and so he's got, a built-in amount of hater to him. But man, it's just so evident. And I don't know if I should, as a fan watching, just kind of appreciate it and understand it. And that, if I'm in his shoes, I mean, am I going to carry that stuff over with me? Probably. So maybe I should be less, bothered by it. But man, he's just got a case of the ass for the Raiders. And every once in a while, he'll be gracious with his comments. And every once in a while, just because, you watch the play of a Khalil Mack or somebody like that, and he'll be gracious in his comments and his analysis of it. But other than that, he's just a flat freaking hater of the Raiders, man. And so am I out of line on that one? I mean, do you see that as well, or am I just being oversensitive?
I like that was your biggest takeaway of the Raiders versus the Jets.
No, it wasn't, but that was the first thing that popped into my head. So let's get that out of the way first.
Yeah, does he work for CBS? Is that his gig?
Yeah.
Because it seems like he does a lot of Raiders games, and yeah, he's slanted. But I don't think how could you not be slanted if you played? I mean, I don't fault him for being slanted. I fault CBS for having him do the Raider games all the time. That's freaking annoying.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So
okay. All right. Well, all right. So anyway, so moving on from stupid Dan Fouts. Here's my biggest takeaway of the game. Is that going into it, I was, as we talked about on the show, I mean, we all expected that the Raiders were going to win. I think the entire world expected the Raiders to win, and they should have. These are one of those kind of games that the Raiders should have won. They are the preseason favorite to challenge the Patriots in the AFC. The Jets are the preseason favorite to challenge for the number 1 overall pick. Okay. So we're talking about a major disparity in talent here. The margin is huge between these two teams. The Raiders should win by 40. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like they should win by that big of a margin. I know it wasn't 40, but what I'm saying though, is that they should have blown them out. Now, so what do you look for though in a blowout, in a game like that? I think that there was a couple of things. Is that the Raiders didn't necessarily go out there and just overpower and dominate the Jets. What I saw was that the Jets made mistakes and the Raiders were there to capitalize on them. So whether that was the special teams mistake where the kid loses the ball in the sun and fumbles it and the Raiders pounce on it right away and then go in and then score a touchdown, right? You know what I mean? As a result, things like that, when those things happen, when the other team makes those mistakes, you have to capitalize. So I think that was very important that the Raiders go out there and do that you're not going out and the other team blows it and you don't come away with points, or you don't even, you kick a field goal or whatever. So that I thought was very encouraging. Now, the other side of that is that because the Raiders didn't go out there and just completely dominate them and they were almost dependent, when you look at that, the margin of the score would have almost dependent on those mistakes. Then when you get up against the New England, when you get up against the Kansas City, when you get up against these teams that aren't going to make mistakes like that, I still think that while as good of a win as that was and as good as it looks on the score sheet, it's still, okay, this is a team that's probably going to maybe win a couple games this year. And, we allowed them to make plays. They beat us flat out on a few plays. And so when it comes up against one of those more elite teams in the AFC, we're not, we still got some work. It's encouraging. We're in the toughest division in football. Like there's nothing but positivities to take away from this. So I'm not trying to put shade on the Raiders here, but I think we all need to keep in perspective though, who we played and what they did when we played them.
Are we at the point now with the Raiders to where if they don't win by a big margin, we're upset? Like, are we there yet, or do we have that high of expectations that's our thought process now?
Yeah, and if I remember right, we kind of talked about this in the offseason, that going in, we don't want the Raiders winning those close games. It's as exciting as the Roberts walk-off was, or the 2-point conversion against the Saints, or when you look at those games that the Raiders pulled, even the Tennessee game last year, the games that the Raiders pulled off at the last second, as exciting as those are. If you're going to be a team that's going to compete with the Patriots, those you don't need to be having close games against teams like that. You need to be going in there and smoking them, and that's what we did to the Jets. So, I think that the expectation is that against a team like that, they should go out there and beat the heck out of them. And because again, it goes back to, if we're playing a team that's not that bad, if we're playing a good quality opponent, then today, instead of talking about, oh, yay, the Raiders scored 40, instead we're talking about Cooper still dropping passes. You know what I mean? Bruce Irvin got another flag. Now, that was a bad call, but, we're talking about that. We're talking about the fact that the Jets literally don't have a tight end. They don't have a tight end that's any good. Like, there's literally Will Tye, or is that what that was? I mean, like, they don't have a playmaker at the tight end position. And where are we vulnerable? Like, so
tight ends,
right? So, like, what happens when we got to play Gronk and Kelsey and these guys and Jason Witten and these guys? Like, okay, Raider Nation. So as fired up as I am, and I promise you, I'm not negative about this at all. I'm really trying to stay grounded on this, because we played the Jets. Like, look, if this was New England, holy crap, I couldn't be sitting down doing the show today. But this wasn't New England. This wasn't even the Jets of 2013 or 2011, or you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a bad football team. Josh McCown is your starting quarterback. Really? You guys remember what he was like in 2007 when he was our starting quarterback? Like, there's a reason that he's played for 900 teams and is 38 years old or whatever. Like, come on now. Like, so yes, I think that we do have an expectation that against poor teams, the Raiders should win handily, and they did. So they did what they needed to do. And despite the little things that, came up during that game, I think that the Raiders did plenty to, to overshadow any of those smaller things. Heck, dude, they ran the flea flicker. How cool was that?
I love the flea flicker, not because of it was a cool call and all, but Marshawn Lynch on the flea flicker, he flips it back to Carr and immediately turns around and picks up the block. Did you notice that?
Dude. Yes.
That was cool. That was veteran level stuff that you didn't get with Latavius Murray. That's the type of stuff that Lynch brings you, that you just don't see on a stat sheet. I think one guy mentioned it on all the sports highlights that I watched. But that stuff is cool, and that stuff is gold. And that's the stuff that's never going to make a stat sheet. But, man, that stuff is so important, dude. That's big-time stuff right there. So I love that. I don't think the Raiders – I think the hype is there that we should dominate every team. But to a certain degree, that's every sports fan's hype of their team. When you're a sports fan, you have a hard time seeing your own faults, and you have a hard time seeing the other team's, good points, so to say. And so I think moving forward, Raider fans are going to be pissed if it's 10-3 at halftime, if it's 17-7 at halftime. But when you ask the players and you ask Del Rio, they're not going to give two craps. All they care about is the win, right?
W's, man.
So, in theory, there's no such thing as an ugly win, because it's a win, and we're 2-0, and we're one of, I think, 11 teams that are undefeated in the NFL right now, 3 of which are in the AFC West. So all that to say, I found myself watching the game going, why are we not up by more? Like we start out 3 and out, and I think sometimes we also forget that, in relative terms, a handful of people make the NFL. So as bad as the Jets are, they're still professional athletes.
Oh, yeah. Great point.
As bad as McCown is, that dude can still throw a 65-yard bomb, and Curse can catch it for a touchdown. Like, that stuff can still happen. So I don't get – I'm trying not to get too high and too low here on our Affable Take segment, because Because McCown can still ball. He's still one of only 32 men in the whole entire world that has the job that he has. And when you think about all the people coming out of, it's still a marquee. It's still a very elite thing to be playing in the NFL. So you shouldn't ever really sleep on a team. And I think fans do that. I don't think players do that. Maybe once in a while they might sleep on a team. But most of the time, you respect everybody, fear nobody, kind of, right? So I don't walk away from the Jets game pissed off that they only won by this much or that much or whatever and stuff. Like, we beat them. We beat them good. We weren't – the game was never really – did you ever think we're going to lose to the Jets? Like, that was never – the game was never in question. And so, it was a great game. And we scored 45 points. Like at the end of it, no matter how it looked – the stat sheets, Carr missed 5 passes, 3 touchdowns, 230 yards. We ran the ball for 180 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns. Our new buddy, the Dago, Giorgio, hits another 50-yarder. Like, and we beat him 45, and we beat him, and we put up 45 on him. Like, that's what when you look at the stats and the whole game itself, that's what you should do against teams like the Jets.
Yeah, and I think that's when, in watching a game like that, I shouldn't say this. This is kind of, that's not mean-spirited. It's just truth. I almost feel like it's a preseason game. Like, it's like going into it, it's like, all right, they're going to win, so it's almost like it's not as consequential as like whether, you just know that it's going to end up favorable. So and I think maybe that's why I was maybe looking for things, positive or negative, but looking for things that will lead to bigger things. So I got a few things I wanted to run down. Number one, 42 looks like 24 when he blitzes. I mean,
he's a missile.
Holy crap.
He's a missile.
If he don't look like Woodson coming in with that chop, I mean, and he's still a young guy, and I know that he's traded paint with Woodson a little bit as far as communications go, and the more that Charles is willing to shed some, of his experience with Carl Joseph, I mean,
some ism.
Oh my gosh, I mean, he looks fantastic on the blitz. I mean, if that's something that is going to figure into the Raiders' defense when we're having trouble generating pressure, then look out. Okay. So I think that is awesome. And then also the follow-up to that is that we played up close to the line of scrimmage all day. And that's because the Jets don't have the receivers to really threaten us downfield. Obviously Curse got loose on that one. But when you think about it, it's not like they were testing us downfield all game long. So I don't know. So I'm like, okay, so knowing that, how we can be so effective doing that with the safeties up close, does that mean that now we can go play, the next team? Now when we go play the Broncos or we go play the Chiefs or the Patriots, can those things translate? Will those scale over when you play? I don't know. It's encouraging, but I'm curious to see how that's going to move over. So one thing that will translate and will move regardless of who you play is that pass that Carr threw when he sprinted out right and threw that dart to Crabtree, when you move, he can throw so accurate on the move that it's up there with the guys like Aaron Rodgers and some of these others. Probably Aaron Rodgers is probably the best example, better than like a Russell Wilson or somebody. But I mean, when that mobility and that accuracy while being mobile, man, that's impressive. And it doesn't matter who you play, right? Like you see those kinds of things, and it's like, all right, they could do that against the Patriots. So I think that was pretty good. Also, in relation to the to Derek Carr, the trust that he has in his receivers, and especially Michael Crabtree, is amazing. That play where he threw the ball down the sideline,
the underthrow, back shoulder.
Dude, come on, man, really? Like that.
That told a lot about their chemistry. I'm glad you brought that up.
How many times do you see that again to use them? That's a Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson type thing, right? Like that's a Tom and maybe somebody type play. Like I'm trying to think.
Whichever short wide receiver he's playing for that year.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'll tell you what, who does do that? that's a Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown type play.
Yeah.
That's something that you'll see those guys do where they're just so on the same page that it's beautiful, man. It's as a football fan, especially as a Raider fan, obviously, it's beautiful. It's so cool. When you watch stuff like that, those are the types of plays that I'm like awestruck. I'm like, that is amazing. I mean, you know how hard that is? You know how hard that is to do, to be so accurate and to have that trust and the timing and everything it takes to execute a play like that. It just blows me away. And the fact that our Raiders are doing it is just amazing, dude. It's just amazing. And I got a whole bunch more to talk about too, but I want to turn it over to you because I want to hear more about your thoughts of it. But some of those things that we saw in this game were really, really encouraging.
One question I have, and I know it's only 2 games in, is Crabtree the number 1 wide receiver, or is it simply Crabtree or Cooper? Depends on the game, depends on the matchup. Crabtree was targeted 6 times, 6 catches, and 3 touchdowns. Cooper was targeted 5 times, 4 catches, and only 33 yards. I'm starting to wonder what's up with Coop. Like, I'm not starting like, Coop's on the downside. Let's not talk. This isn't that. I'm just wondering, is Crabtree, does he have more trust now with Carr than Cooper does? And maybe has the mindset of Cooper gotten to him, right? The Tennessee game, Cooper was targeted 13 times, and he caught the ball 5 times. Targeted 13 times, caught the ball 5 times.
Yeah.
The next game,
4 of those hit him in the dang hands.
The next game, he's targeted 5 times, and he only catches 4 balls, but he's only targeted 5 times. So he saw his numbers drop pretty significantly. Crabtree, first game was targeted 7 times, caught 6 of them. Next game, targeted 6 times, caught 6 of them. So you didn't see his targets decrease. So I'm wondering, and I think it's way too early to put this out there, but I'm wondering as the season goes on, are we going to start seeing the number 1 DB on the other side start covering Crabtree, or is it simply they're taking away Cooper and Crabtree is the only option left? And then Carr has to force, balls over to Cooper where they're not as easy, where Crabtree's drawing more one-on-one coverage. Because I think that's going to be the interesting thing to watch this year, especially with the Raiders, because Carr hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different receivers, 9 different receivers. Carr hit 9 different receivers in this game. And that was what we talked about going into this season, right? All the new weapons, the Jared Cooks of the world, the Pattersons of the world, Lynch coming out of the backfield catching passes, right? So we have new weapons. Carr, this is now his 4th year, so he's feeling a little more comfortable. I'm just curious to see what happens in the wide receiver battle. And I think this week will be a telling sign does Norman follow Cooper? Or maybe does he switch back and forth? What do the Redskins do if Cooper comes off this hot, or Crabtree comes off this hot game, 3 touchdowns on 6 catches? Do they switch Norman over to Crabtree? Do you think Crabtree starts drawing number 1 coverage?
Well, I'll wait and I'll save my Redskin stuff for when we get into that because we do have a lot to talk about on that game. But in relation to the decrease in targets with Coop, I mean I think whether it's consciously or subconsciously, if you got a guy that's dropping the ball with any consistency, eventually it's got to creep into your head, right? Like eventually that's got to be there when you're the guy throwing the ball. Now that said, I think that Carr is not the kind of guy that would, penalize or like.
No, they got trust. No,
yes, absolutely. But that said, I think that it's the reason that it's too early to say whether, that it decreased with any intent or or just as a result of drops. I think that we'll know as we go forward because I think this was just purely a schematic thing. When you look, don't kill me for talking about the dang Patriots, but they're the class of the NFL and a lot of stuff. So
they're just you freaking love them.
All right, listen. They beat you with whoever. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, and you look at the history of their winning in the past 17 years or however long it's been, they'll just beat you with whoever. It's not, they exploit matchups. So here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the Raiders, that's what they're doing because I think that's where the NFL has gone. is that you have to take advantage of the matchup. We used to scream and yell and hoot and holler about why the Raiders would not use Marcel Reese more effectively when he was an absolute matchup nightmare on linebackers or whoever else that he was going up against. And I think of like what a Belichick inspired approach would have been to a player like Marcel Reese, what he would have done. So when you look at the way this offense is unfolded so far, I think they're just going to take advantage of whatever they see is the matchup. And because there are so many weapons, it could be going to be Crabtree one week. It could be Cooper the next week. It could be Jared Cook. It could be Jalen Richard. It could be, who knows what we're going to see. I mean, Marshawn didn't have he had an amazing day on the sideline, but he didn't have an amazing stat day today, but he did get a touchdown, right? But we might see him run for 100 yards. Who knows at some point this year? I don't know. I think it's just going to purely come down to where it is. They have the most favorable matchup. That's who we're going to see get the figures. That's who's going to get the targets. I don't think that this Cooper Crabtree thing was a result of anything other than that.
So do you think now it's a bad thing to have a Raiders wide receiver for fantasy football?
You know what? I think so. I mean, I have Seth Roberts on my team as a flex, and he was great the first week and then disappeared. He disappeared, right?
Yeah. I remember you told me a long time ago, never draft a Saints wide receiver for fantasy football because they have so many weapons and they spread the ball around so effectively. And so I wonder if that's what it is. It's that now. I mean,
I think so.
You got Crabtree, you got Cooper, you got Richard, you got Cook, you got Washington. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Maybe that's just it. Maybe it's just they have so many weapons. It's nothing to do with Cooper, Crabtree, whatever. It's who's hot that day, who has the better matchup, and then you go forward. And you always hear nowadays that this league is now almost strictly matchup based. It's not even no more about, that team has the dreaded 4-6 defense. It's like it's all matchups and how do you match up. And it's going to be interesting going forward. I think it's way too early to call it one way or the other, but I think it's going to be interesting to watch because Cooper has always been, since he was drafted, like that's our guy, right? That's our number one. But with this Raiders offense now, is it going to be just more of this collective? Crabtree has a big day week 2. Jared Cook has a big day week 3. Patterson has a big day. It's going to be that, or is it going to be like Julio Jones, where he always eats no matter what, or Antonio Brown, where he always gets his no matter what? I kind of think it's going to be the former, where it'll be spread around a lot more. All right, one other thing I want to talk about the Jets game is we have to talk about Lynch. And, he didn't have a great day on the field, 12 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. But how cool is it when you knew the Raiders were going to feed him the ball down low and get him his first touchdown? I thought that was epic. And to hear the stadium just light up, I mean, that was cool, right?
Yeah, that was amazing. And equally as amazing was the fact that Derek Carr had an audible call of Seattle on the goal line in the black hole and went up and threw it. Now look, they'll tell you that was unintentional, and they'll tell you, we have a bunch of audible calls, and you listen to Jack Del Rio, he talks about that in his press conference. He's like, I don't know, we just got a bunch of calls. Yeah, right. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was freaking pretty cool.
Hey, and, speaking of that, hang on, and I do have a little quote here from Derek Carr on the home crowd.
Oh, it's rowdy. I'm glad that I'm a Raider. When I'm a part of it, it's exciting. It's an electric atmosphere. Our fans are the best in the world. Whenever we play at home, there's nothing like it. I've been able to play at some special places, and this is definitely one of them.
There you go. Exactly what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean it's electric. Murf, did you know Derek Carr? I believe it's on YouTube. It might also be via his Facebook page as well. After each game, he's going to be doing his own little YouTube channel now. Like he's going to be broadcasting and talking. It's on YouTube. He posted it yesterday, and he just pops on there for 10 minutes, gives a little short spiel about the game and from his take, recap. Yeah, recap New York Jets, 10 minutes. Gives a little recap of the game from his perspective. Talks about how much he loves his teammates and stuff like that, and then answers questions on the feed there on the chat on YouTube and stuff like that. Like, that to me is amazing because when have you ever seen that before? When has a quarterback or anybody given, and maybe I just don't know because I don't pay attention to every other player on the teams, but I've never seen that before. And this was like day of, man. Like I think it was later in the night or maybe the next day, jumped on there and there he was, accessible for everybody, man. Like cutting out the middleman and going straight to the fans. Like, that was pretty cool. And he states, if you watch it, he's gonna. Did you watch it, by the way?
No, I haven't seen it. No, I didn't even hear about it until tonight when you told me.
You're not a real Raiders fan then, if you haven't watched it.
No, I'm clearly not.
So he's gonna do it after every single game. So that'll be kind of fun to see what this turns into and stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. He's kind of like stealing all of our thunder, right? Like, how many people have their quote shows or whatever that they do, right? On Facebook
right
and Periscope and all this stuff. And here it is. Guess what? Derek Carr is going to steal our thunder.
Yeah, Derek. You need to go through me first. I need to make mine before you can make yours. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do a reaction to the reaction, or as we call our upcoming show is going to be the Raider Retort.
What's the matter? Oh, you were finished. Oh, well, allow me to retort.
Yeah, come get retorted with us Sunday nights. Lynch, he goes crazy on the sideline.
Let's talk about it, man. Yeah, please do. Elaborate. Let's get into this one.
My first reaction was like, what's he doing? And then I was like, that's badass what he's doing. You know, and then here too, I want to say this. Last night, I was playing Madden, and I always find something stupid to watch on Netflix or something like that. And I found that, and I didn't know this, and you know this, Lynch was on the Bear Grylls show, that Running Wild show he does, where he takes famous people and puts them in the woods and all that kind of stuff. And it was the most I've ever heard Marshawn Lynch talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he doesn't talk to the media very much, you know? And after watching this show, I almost had to, like, in my own heart, I felt convicted. I felt that, like, I kind of judged this guy a little, maybe too harshly, from a distance, of course. Because he kind of comes across maybe a little arrogant because he doesn't talk to the media and maybe a little thuggish at times and maybe a little rough and tough. You know, he kind of has this exterior that's like, you know, whatever, beast mode and stuff like that. But on the Running Wild show, you really got a sense, and obviously it's TV, and so it's done up a certain way and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it kind of gave you a little bit more of like, this guy's kind of funny and he's kind of quirky. Like, he's not a thug. He's not this hardcore kind of dude. Like, sure he is, but like, he's actually kind of funny. He's mellow. He's goofy. And that was an endearing thing to see. And so then to couple that with the dancing on the sidelines, and you look at some of those still shots in his face, and he's just having the time of his life, man. He's just smiling and doesn't care who's watching, and he got the whole entire stadium rocking, man. I mean that was just unbelievable. And so I have a new love and appreciation for Marshawn Lynch and for what he brings to the team, from the sideline hype to the way he's able to avoid a blitzing linebacker who comes in untouched on a halfback draw and he just sidesteps him real quick, to the block he does on the flea flicker. Like, he's the real deal. And he hasn't lost a step, and he brings a tremendous aspect to this Raiders team. It's still a little weird that it feels like he's playing more for the city than he is for the Raiders. But as long as the Raiders are still in Oakland, he's playing for us, and we're going to benefit from it. So why not ride that train till it leaves town, right? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say all that, because I know you were pretty reluctant early on in the process, and you were skeptical of what the Raiders' reasoning was for bringing him in, and that maybe it was a PR move or a way to, you know, appease the fans and you know, bridge the gap and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm glad to hear you say that, because I could not agree more. He's an endearing guy. Like, the first time that I really remember getting a glimpse into his personality, because you're right, he's quiet, he's got the sunglasses on, I'm here so I don't get fined, that whole thing, that whole persona. But when you see him outside of that environment, he's funny, and he's really like clever and witty and stuff too. And there was a video that Conan O'Brien did with Marshawn and Gronk, And it's become kind of like an annual thing now. Conan brings in people, a couple players, well, usually a player from each team that's playing in the Super Bowl. And what they do is they do a video of them playing a video game. And it was one of the Mortal Kombat games I want to see. If y'all had, and I didn't know we were going to talk about this, otherwise I'd have had some of the sound bites ready. If you haven't seen it, you just Google Marshawn, Gronk, Conan, I'm sure, and it will come up. It's one of the funniest videos you'll see watching these two guys play Mortal Kombat. And of course, the Conan's funny as it is, but so is Gronk and so is Marshawn. And it's hilarious. It's in it, and seeing these guys, and it's like, a 10-minute segment, and it's awesome. And yes, and those types of things, and I guess you haven't seen either, the one where Marshawn goes over to Scotland, and he goes over and he's visiting all of these people in Scotland. It was when it must have been when the Seahawks had a game over in London or something. And I'm pretty sure it was Scotland. It might have been out in the English countryside, but whatever it was, he's out in the middle of nowhere in the farmland in these small towns, these European towns, and seeing beast mode out there in that environment is one of the funniest darn things. And he's just like cutting it up with the locals and stuff. And it's amazing. The guy is amazing. And when we saw what he did on the sidelines of that game, and saw the way that not only is the town behind him, the fans behind him, but like you said, the look on his face, it's pure unadulterated joy. The guy is living a complete dream. This was a dream for him that he's had just about his entire life. And you think about, it would be like, Sonny, to me, it would be like the equivalent of us like guest hosting the Dan Patrick Show or Jim Rome or something like. And not even that, because we've only been playing in this podcast radio world for, 5 or 6 years. You think about if we to have the realization of a dream come true for something you've worked at since you were a young child. Come on. How anybody that says anything negative about what happened in the Coliseum on Sunday with him dancing it up on the sidelines, you are so far removed for what happiness and joy and dreams come true look like. And you know what? And shame on you. And I'm sorry for you that you can't look at that and realize what a cool moment that was for all people involved. Like that was, and speaking of that, to the dang Jets players that did say, they felt like he was showing them up by dancing. You know what? You're the last freaking team.
ESPN spun that though, so let's not be too hard on them.
And they're the last freaking team that should have anything to say about that. The freaking Jets, Mr. Hot Dog Mark Sanchez on the sideline, and about how playing the Raiders was like playing in a scrimmage. Don't think we forgot about that stuff, Jets. So you can just shut it if any of the Jets or Jets fans have anything to say about that. But that Marshawn moment, dude, that will go down as one of my favorite, and I don't think I'm overstating this. That was one of my favorite Raider moments. That was such a Raider thing.
Really? That high, huh?
Oh, dude, it was beautiful. It was beautiful because it was positivity, man. Like, that was cool stuff. This wasn't negative. This wasn't, there was no negativity associated with that. There was no, and I'm not going to speak about, any of my thoughts about any of the protests or anything. All that stuff is, even if you're doing things for the right reasons, there's a negativity sourced in it. You know what I mean? Whether that's what people's reaction to it is, or what your stance may be, or what this or that. This was, first off, it wasn't premeditated. He didn't plan this thing. The DJ played the song about, you're from Oakland or whatever. So it's like an Oakland song from an Oakland artist, and there's an Oakland guy rocking in Oakland with freaking 60,000 people. Like, what is bad about that? Nothing. It's amazing. It was so good. And I don't think you can replicate it. Like, I hope it doesn't happen again, because then it would be kind of, fabricated. But in that moment and when that happened, dude, that was beautiful. I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, it was something special, and I think what it did too is because of the Vegas move and because of the issues and all that. Like, that united everybody for that brief moment. That united all the fans, and it should have. And you're right. If you're looking at that with a negative mindset, that's on you. That's more of a reflection of your heart than it is of Marshawn Lynch. There, it was a beautiful moment. United the crowd, united Raiders fans. And it just blew up. It's all over social media. You know, the Jets fans, I'd be pissed about it too, because that meant you're getting your freaking ass handed to you. And so, ESPN spun that. That was upsetting that ESPN spun it in a negative way. But they're a news outlet, of course. You don't expect
that's
that.
What they do nowadays too, right?
Exactly. It's kind of who they are. So no, it was nothing but it was cool, man. And to look at his face. Pure joy. I mean, the guy played his high school's, I think, state championship game on that field,
Yes. Yes.
And then to go back, so many years later and be a Raider and playing on it, they're getting ready to leave. Like, yeah, dude. We talked about this months ago, but this could be the Cinderella season. Lynch comes back, leads the team to victory, get the Super Bowl, you win it on the way out. Like, it could go down that way. And the joy we felt watching Lynch, I mean, just imagine this season, right? Imagine the games we have on the slate already, against the Broncos, against the Cowboys, against the Patriots, the Chiefs. Just start imagining what's going to happen if we start beating those teams. Lynch has a big deal in those games. This thing could get nuts, dude. It could get nuts quickly.
DeadPiratesSports.com. Raider gear for our Raider Nation family. Huge selection of affordable, authentic Raider items and custom gear. Coolers, baby items. That's right, train them early, train them right. Baby items. Barbecue accessories. Who don't like barbecue? You know who don't like barbecue? 49er fans don't like barbecue because you can't barbecue alfalfa sprouts. Books, caftans. And as soon as we figure out what you do with the caftan, we'll let you know. Candles, flags, glasses, earrings, floor mats, hats, jerseys, kimonos, ponchos, helmets, cups, pendants, pet clothes, mugs, socks. Raiders socks. I got Raiders socks. Get you some Raiders socks. Temporary tattoos, tote bags, wall clocks, and towels. That's right, towels. You know why? Because we got an inbred cousin. I don't know if he's really in the family or not, but he's a Bronco fan, and he can dry his little red-headed tears. So check out DeadPiratesSports.com. Let him know you heard about him on Raiders Fan Radio, and find all the Raider gear you could possibly want. That's DeadPiratesSports.com. Raider gear for our Raider Nation family. By Raiders fans, for Raiders fans, the only fans that matter.
All right, as we said before, we got a special interview with three lovely ladies from the DC Metro Raiders Club, May from Northern Virginia Raiders Booster Club, and Arnina from Hampton Roads Raiders Club. Lizette is from the DC Metros Club, and we're going to give that to you right now.
All right, Raider Nation, as we stated, we have a special interview. We have three lovely gals from three of the East Coast booster clubs who are putting on a big event for the Raiders at the Redskins game. Please welcome in Lizette from the DC Metro Raiders Booster Club, May from the Northern Virginia Raiders Booster Club, and Arnina from the Hampton Roads Raiders Boosters Club. Ladies, how y'all doing today?
Awesome. Doing well.
Great.
Thank you.
Lizette, you become a Raiders fan. What are the origins of your Raiders fandom?
To be honest with you, I don't know when I wasn't a Raider fan. I actually grew up in California, born in San Jose, lived in a small town called Coalinga, right outside Fresno, and I remember going to my grandmother's house, and our neighbors to her were Raider fans, and I was really young, and they got me on, and I've been a Raider fan ever since.
That's awesome, Lizette. Me and Murf were both born in San Jose as well. I grew up in a little town called Mariposa, and I think I played Coalinga in junior high and high school football.
Oh, awesome.
That's interesting. May, how did you become a Raiders fan?
I have two older brothers, so ever since I was young, they pretty much just drilled that into my head that that's what I was going to be, a Raiders fan. So pretty much stuck with that. Was born in Monterey, lived in Linwood, LA. And yeah, that's what they did. They drilled that in.
So you didn't really have a choice, May, it sounds like.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Arnina, how about you? How did you become a Raiders fan?
Well, I would say the same thing with me. I'm a daddy's girl, so my dad was a Raiders fan. I mean, the house is divided, and it's just us two, but I've been a Raider as long as I can remember, cheer for the Aberdeen Raiders, so that's all I know.
Aberdeen Raiders, there you go. That's awesome.
Hey, ladies, thanks again for joining us here on Raiders Fan Radio. This is Murf. I did want to ask you a few questions about Week 3 at Washington. So you have a big event that's going on. It's a joint event between all three of your booster clubs. Lizette, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about the event and tell us about what, in particular, the D.C. Metro Raiders involvement is with the Week 3 event.
Well, week 3, all three clubs are getting together to celebrate the Raiders, of course, and our part in it is going to be Saturday night. This is our 15-year anniversary party. The club has been established for 15 years, and we're just here ready to celebrate with the nation.
That's awesome. So 15 years. So have you been a part of it from the beginning, or how long have you been a part of the DC club?
Actually, I'm a very new member to the DC club. I've only been a part of it for about a year. Our former executive director, Peggy Holmes, retired last year, and I kind of stepped in and kind of picked up the role after her, and then just been keeping the club going.
Excellent. So you all are responsible for, you said Saturday night. So tell us about what it is on Saturday night you have going on.
So on Saturday night, we're going to host 2 parties in Georgetown. We're going to do a cruise on the Potomac, as well as a get-together at Nick's Bar and Grill right there in Georgetown on the waterfront.
Very cool. And so how can fans find out about that stuff on your Facebook page or
Yes.
Twitter, or where can they get information about that?
All our information is on our website at dcmraiders.com, as well as on our Facebook page groups on DC Metro Raiders group page and our DC Metro Boosters page. We have 2 pages.
Awesome. Now, May, how about you? Tell us about what the Northern Virginia Club has going on in relation to the Week 3 game.
We're pretty much, assisting with DCM and, also with the help of Hampton Roads. So we'll be helping out with the meet and greet, which is Friday at Tap Sports Bar at the MGM National Harbor. And then again on Saturday, same thing, another meet and greet, because, a lot of folks will probably come in on Saturday versus Friday. And then also, assisting with the tailgate party for Sunday. And then it's pretty much DC Metro's weekend because they're celebrating such a big milestone. So we're just there to assist and, where as needed.
How about that MGM? We heard we had some folks from the booster clubs on a couple of months ago, and they told us a little bit about that MGM location and tell us about that. Is that a lot of fun, a good place to hang out and have a party for Raider fans coming into town?
Oh, definitely. The atmosphere is really nice. The sports bar, it's a really welcoming environment. And then, it also gives a chance for folks who are coming out of town, as well as the local folks who have yet to visit MGM, to explore, the casino, the different restaurants, and then also, into National Harbor and D.C. as well. So we're excited to host them and, just show them a good time.
And so where do folks find out about Northern Virginia Raiders Booster Club? Tell us about your website and Facebook and all that.
Our website is nbraiders.org, and then we have nbaraiders.org is our website. And then we're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're pretty much on all those social media outlets, and we just joined Snapchat, so you can find us there as well.
Awesome.
Look out.
And so, and then Armina, how about you? Tell us about Hampton Roads Raiders Booster Club. Tell us about your involvement with the game at Washington.
Okay, just like May said, all 3 clubs are really working hard together to make sure that this is just a great event. So at the meet and greet, we'll have 50/50s, raffles, we'll have a silent auction, and then the tailgate will be at FedEx Field. We reserve the spot at Lot D, the green lot. So right now, we're just looking forward to having a great crowd and getting a chance to meet, Raiders from all over the U.S. We'll also have a watch party on Sunday for those who can't make it out to the actual game at the OTI Hotel Largo. So we're just looking forward to it just being a great weekend.
And now and tell us about that. So the watch party, so that'll be just for folks coming into town and just all meeting in a central location, watching it on a big screen, doing something like that?
Right. Just a lot of people are, kind of have hotels, nearby, and so everybody won't make it out to the game. So that way, you'll still have that Raider fan base there. Even though we'll be in DC, definitely we're going to be blacking out DC. So we just want to make sure, they're all comfortable and, we just have a good time, and can, socialize and fellowship together and watch the Raiders take home that win.
That's awesome. That's one of the things, we like to think about it as no fan left behind.
Right.
We always want to try to think of ways to make it inclusive for everybody. That's awesome. And so, but for the folks that are coming into town, you said that y'all are having a get together at Lot D, and that's where Raider Nation's going to post up at?
Right.
Okay, good deal. And then and you mentioned you're doing some raffles and stuff. So give us an idea of what folks can look forward to there. We're giving away jerseys and stuff. Or what are you looking
shirts, pennants. Each club is going to have different things that they're going to auction off, and we'll have a silent auction. And so each club is going to be putting together different baskets and stuff to do a silent auction. So it might be restaurant tickets, clothes, different types of Raider merchandise. So just to kind of show the fans that we appreciate them, and hopefully they can have the winning ticket and take home something nice that day.
Lizette, how does it feel to be kind of the newcomer to the DC Metro? It's been going on for 15 years. You've been there for a year. And this big event, the Raiders are playing over there in DC, which doesn't happen very often. And you're getting such huge support from these other two clubs. How does that make you feel stepping into that kind of new role for you?
Oh, it has been great. Like you said, I'm a newcomer, and then to step in a year where we're doing a tailgate at home on top of that, without everybody's support, there's no way DC Metro could have put this off.
And May, is this kind of par for the course with the Raider clubs out east? You guys all kind of look after each other and help each other out?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Every time there is like an event that's coming up, like I said, this is our first time getting together, the three of us, DC, Hampton Roads, and Northern Virginia. But, we are welcome to other booster clubs coming in. If they need help, we're there to assist.
That's awesome. All right, ladies, we want to conclude the interview, but we do something with every guest we have on the show, is we ask all of our guests to kind of give a message to Raider Nation. Raider Nation, it's a really difficult time. It's really strange, right? The Raiders, they tried their best for several years, but it wasn't good enough. And now that they're really good again, but now the whole Vegas deal, so there's a lot of split and divide amongst the nation. So we always like to leave a message to Raider Nation from each of our guests. So, Arnita, I want to start with you. What's your message to the Raider fan base as a whole?
Well, my message is, just stay positive. When you're a Raider, to me, it doesn't matter. We were in Oakland, Las Vegas, LA, some of the signs say we could be on Mars. I'm going to rep Raider Nation no matter what. And, that's what Raiders do. We rise to the occasion. And so I just, my message is just to stay positive, one team, one family, one goal, one vision, committed to excellence. And no matter where we are, we're going to rise to the occasion. So no matter what, we're number one. So that's just my message. You know what? Support the team, support the coaches. That's the way, that I feel it should be. I understand, some might be hurt, and I can understand that. But and I just feel like we're in a good place, and even though the move hurts, and I would like them to stay in Oakland, I'm still going to support them no matter what. So that'll be my message to the Raider Nation.
One team, one family, one goal, one vision. I'm going to steal that, Arnita.
That was good.
I like that.
That was
I
good.
like that. TFGV. May, how about yourself? What's your message to Raider Nation?
Yeah, so my message to Raider Nation is, with all the chaos going on with the move, we really need to just live up to the motto, Raider Nation, One Nation, and also live up to all the other hashtags that are going around, like, Forever Oakland, Loyal, for life. So, I mean, just move forward from it and continue to support the team no matter what happens. I mean, moves happen all the time in the NFL, so it shouldn't be really anything new to anyone. So just continue to support the team and, represent Raider Nation with positive vibes and live up to One Nation.
There you go. Live up to One Nation. Now, Lizette, you kind of grew up in California a little bit. Is this a little more sensitive to you? Kind of you're closer to what's going on down there. What's your message to Raider Nation?
Well, being that I left California a little over 20 years ago for the Navy, so I'm a Navy veteran. And one thing with being in the military, we change a lot. And sometimes change doesn't happen, it doesn't come easily. And being that we're a nation, we're a family, and I know it's tough on people, we support each other because that's what we do. We support not only just the team, but we support our fans because some of these fans have put their love, their effort, everything, their heart and soul into this team. And it does hurt that they have to move. However, it's something that's got to be done. It's something that's going to happen. We have no control over it. So all we can do is support, like I said, not only our Raider Nation team, but our Raider Nation family, our fans, all the fans that are out there. Just know that we know it hurts. I'm here to support. No matter what, we're one family. We'll keep it moving.
I agree. It's kind of like your dad gets a new job at a new location. You have to move and leave all your friends behind. You don't want to move. It's inevitable. Let's be happy for the new stadium, but let's also be sensitive to the people who are heartbroken and kind of being left behind to a certain degree. Exactly. Lizette, May, Arnina, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll be putting out positive vibes and praying that the event goes well, that Raider Nation can represent well, and that you guys just have an awesome turnout. Congratulations, Lizette, on the 15 years of DC Metro Raiders Booster Club. That is quite the accomplishment. And thank you all. Thank you, ladies, for coming on the show.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, once again, we want to say a special thanks to Liz from the DC Metro Raiders Club, May from the Northern Virginia Raiders Booster Club, and Arnina from the Hampton Roads Raiders Club.
Thank you.
If you're in the area, Friday the 22nd and Saturday the 23rd, you want to hit up Tap Sports Bar at 101 MGM National Avenue in National Harbor, Maryland. That's where it's all going down. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And, it's good times, right? It's good times. Raider legends are going out there. Lincoln Kennedy is going to be there, I believe. Also, Irwa Matthews. Can't say I know who that is. Murf, do you know who Irwa Matthews is?
No, I can't say I do. Does that make us bad Raiders fans?
Yeah, we're not real Raiders fans. Again, let's see. This is Saturday the 23rd. Nick's Riverside Grill from 8:30 to close for all you late nighters. The giant tailgate is at 5 o'clock. FedEx Field, 600 FedEx Way, Lot D. Lot D is where you want to be for the tailgate. Murph, I wish I was going out there, man. I wish we could do this. Like, how do we get money to go all these away games?
I know, huh? We need.
Right? There's only 7 of them, but how the hell do you get money to go to all of them?
Oh my gosh, we need.
Well, there's 9 of them, I guess.
We need some serious sponsorship here on Raiders Fan Radio, so we can travel and go do the show live from all. We can quit our jobs, and then we could just do this live. For a living. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun.
Ira Richard Matthews, born August 23rd, 1957.
There you go.
5'8", 175, played for the Raiders between 1979 and 1981. He was a kick returner and running back. Pretty cool. So he was drafted by the Raiders in the 6th round of the 79 draft out of Wisconsin.
Good guy.
Yeah, hey, listen, he's got more championship rings than we do. He was a member of the Super Bowl 15 Raiders team. So good for him.
Good guy, great guy. Yeah. Again, thanks to Liz, Bay, and Arnina for joining us on the
not
show.
Armina, like I called her, I think, 2 or 3 times. I apologize.
You did call her Armina. It's Arnina. That was a fun interview. First time we ever had 3 guests on the show live, and we thought they all did a great job, and it was a lot of fun. And so if you're in the area, look them up on Facebook. They're on Twitter. I believe a couple of them have their own websites as well. It's the DC Metro Raiders Club. It's the Northern Virginia Raiders Booster Club, and it's the Hampton Roads Raiders Club. Check them out.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Uncle Mosh. I'm sitting here. I got my Raiders jersey on. I'm wearing my Raiders hat. I got my eye black under my eyeballs. I got my Raiders football in my hand. I'm wearing my silver and black underwear. If there was only a good podcast I can listen to about Raiders football, I would be so excited. But all I got is Sonny and Murf on Raiders Fan Radio.
You know, I forgot your kids. Your kids did that to me. And so next time I come out there, I'm gonna give them a backhand.
They're booing us because we forgot to mention our good friends at the Raider Ramble. That's why they're booing us.
We forgot to mention our good friends at the Raider Ramble. We were going to cite an article they did, which talked about the top 3 free agent class standouts for Week 2, Murph. And let's jump into that right now real quick. Posted by Sean Hildebrandt on September 19th. You can check it out at RaiderRamble.com. Number 1 standout, he says, is Cordell Patterson. Murph, did you know that Cordell Patterson is a running back?
Yeah. Apparently, much like, that other Tennessee wide receiver we had, Denarius Moore, who liked to get did a little jet sweep action and got him the ball in the backfield. Patterson seems to be like an improved version of that. And I think it's really cool. I think that's a cool, fun wrinkle to the Raiders offense. And I think that is comes courtesy of our guy, Todd Downing.
Did you know Cordell Patterson is a kick returner?
I did not, but I did notice that he had a couple of great returns, especially going back to that Week 1 game in Tennessee, right? He had a fantastic return to start us off.
Did you know Cordell Patterson is a wide receiver?
I did, and I've noticed that he's caught a couple passes downfield. I don't have any stats by hand, and I don't know this off the top of my head, which may also not make me the best.
You're not a Raiders fan.
I know. I'm gonna go watch Aaron Rodgers videos now.
Cordell Patterson is quickly becoming one of my favorite signings. The guy is a threat. You have to account for him in 2 different ways on offense now, right?
Yeah.
Like that's fun. That's fun. And to couple his talents with the young mind of Todd Downing, who's a creative, offensive-minded kind of coordinator, right? Like this is fun. Again, it could be a lot of fun, right? It could be fun. The number 2 guy, Sean Hildebrandt at Raider Ramble points out, is Marshall Newhouse. Marshall Newhouse. He's stepping up his game, right? He's doing good. He's doing good. Do you think he's done enough to step in and be the guy? What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so. I think that they brought him in to be a swing guy, to go to either, to kind of come in relief to the left or right side. I thought that he was a depth signing, but it's – I mean, he's pretty much won the job, though, right? I mean, when you look at what Alexander has done out there, a little sketchy at times, right? Playing right tackle. So I think that Marshall, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe this will make me a good radio host, I don't think he's given up any pressures. I don't think he's given up
58 passing snaps in the first 2 weeks, and he's given up 0 pressures.
There you go. So, hey, look, I redeemed myself. So, I mean, that's
impressive.
That is very impressive, right? And
I don't care who you are. That's impressive.
I don't think, and you know what? This is the second time that Reggie has done this, and I think that it's been a pleasant surprise. Now, granted, when he brought over Donald Penn, he brought him over with the intent to be the starter, but I don't think he brought over Donald Penn knowing that this is what kind of quality play we were going to get. I don't think we got top 10 left tackles in the league. Obviously, otherwise they would have paid him a lot more to begin with. Which congratulations to him for finally getting that extension, that 2-year extension. But I think Marshall Newhouse could be a lesser version of that. Like they brought him in to play depth. He ended up beating out Alexander and got the starting job and has played fantastic. And dude, look, this is scary and I mean that in a good way. That was where we were weak, Austin Howard. And now, if we got a guy that can shore up that position at right tackle, are you kidding me? Like, now we for real have the best line in all of football. It's not even a question, Dallas Cowboys, because we saw what you look like the other night. So, so I mean, gosh, Sonny, right? I mean, that was the spot we were kind of nervous about, and now, and we're going to get this out of Marshall Newhouse? Heck yeah, man. That's an excellent signing, and an excellent point there by Raider Ramble.
The third guy, Sean Hildebrand points out, as the top 3 free agents for week 2 is Nick Morrow. And what's funny about Nick Morrow is when we were at the game in Tennessee, we're in the stands, and what's his number? Is it number 50?
50.
Is that
and I go, Sonny, who's that guy?
Yeah, you're like, who's 50? And I'm like, I don't know.
we're looking around, and all the Titans fans are looking at us like, don't look at us, man. We don't know.
You freaking idiots don't know your own team. We're like, shut up. We know our team. But yeah, I felt like that old skit with Will Ferrell and Cherry Terry. Bobby Fischer. Where is he? I don't know. That whole skit. You were like, who's 50? I'm like, I don't know. So we're scrambling in the freaking in the books and stuff. We're going
looking at the program. We went to the program.
He was in the program, right? And so
he wasn't in the program.
No, it wasn't in the program.
It wasn't even in the program. So we're like, what the heck, man? We had to Google him. Somebody had to get out a phone and Google Nicholas Morrow. And so, yeah, that's been when there's only 2 reasons that you're going to go, hey, who is that guy? You're either going to go, who is that guy?
Yeah.
Or you're going to go, hey, who's that guy? And it was a, hey, who's that guy moment. So that was awesome. So, yeah, good call, Sean. I'm pointing out Nicholas Morrow.
Nah, he's doing good. I think he played 24 snaps against the Jets, but he had 3 tackles, 2 solo, and 1 loss of yards and a pass breakup.
Beautiful.
And he's stepping up and stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. And we need it, right? Like, remember, the linebackers were the biggest issue, and up against the Redskins is going to be even a bigger issue because they got some tight ends. But we'll see how that goes. So, again, thank you to Sean Hildebrand for the excellent article from RaiderRamble.com. 3 free agents, top 3, week 2 free agent class standouts. You got Cordell Patterson, Marshall Newhouse, and Nick Morrow. Coming up next, we'll talk about those pesky Redskins.
You're listening to The Violator, and I'm live on Raider Fan Radio. Where you at, baby?
All right, Murf, the Raiders are traveling east. A couple years ago, we'd have been scared because we hadn't won a game that started on the Eastern time in quite a long time. But now we're like, all right, we should be able to beat them. ESPN has us a 50.7% chance to win the game. Redskins are 1-1, coming off a big victory against the freaking Rams, and Raiders are 2-0. Raiders are 2-0, and the Redskins lost, I think, week 1 versus the Eagles. So we're going to go into what we call 3 reasons. Murf will give you 3 reasons why the Raiders will win the game against the Redskins.
Because I am a real Raider fan, unlike my co-host.
We had to make up for all the blunders Murf's already had this show. So that's why we gave him this one. Because I care about people more than Murf, I will give you 3 reasons why the Redskins will win the game.
Now, I had to give you 3 reasons why the Titans won, you didn't spin it that nicely.
This is how we should word it. We're going to give you 3 reasons why the Raiders will win the game.
Yes.
And we're going to give you 3 reasons why the Redskins could win the game.
There you go. Yes, that's the way you know it. Very well.
Or we could say 3 reasons why the Raiders will win the game, and 3 reasons how the Raiders could lose the game. Because then it's all about the Raiders.
No, but then we're projecting negativity onto them. We don't want to do
that. That's true. We should focus on their team, too. Okay, so I've been listening to Redskins podcasts all day. My ears are burning. I set this up so that way when we play the Broncos and the Chargers and the Chiefs, Murf will have to be the positives on their side, so I don't have to listen to that garbage.
Oh, my gosh. I knew there was an angle.
You like that? You like that? Yeah. All right, so
I'm not doing it.
The top reason that the Raiders will beat the Redskins is what, Murf?
The number one, well, there's in no particular order. We'll just say that.
Just one of your biggest.
All right, one of my biggest. The reason that the Raiders will win is middle linebacker Zach Brown for the Washington Redskins. And what did he have to say about the Raiders? He dared them to put the ball in the air. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that bulletin board material. I'm sure that Jack Del Rio has got that printed off, made multiple copies, and hung that up on everybody's lockers so that the amazingly talented Oakland Raider offense will go into Washington in front of the world on Sunday Night Football. And guess what, brother? We're going to put that ball in the air, and you're not going to like it. Thanks, Zach.
Is he just pissed? The Raiders lowballed him in free agency. Like, why would you say that against this team?
You talk about kicking a hornet's nest, man. And look, and
he's not even that good. He's better in the run defense than he is in the pass defense.
And they're not the kind of the Raiders are not the kind of team that are gonna call him out or get into, this is not going to be a Josh Norman, Des Bryant type thing where they're going to be verbal darts getting thrown back and forth. That's not going to happen. But the Raiders will do it with the scoreboard, and they will do it on the field. And don't think that they didn't notice that. And look, when it comes to professional athletes, these guys, as we talked about with Marshawn, they're realizing a dream, and they're getting paid handsomely to do it. So it's not like there's a ton of things that you can do to additionally motivate them. When you get to this level, you're a pretty self-motivated individual, but to put a target on your back and to do things like that, that's just dumb. It's like the Raiders aren't going to go out there and play any harder because of what Zach Brown did. It's just fuel, man. Why would you do that? I'm with you. And especially when really that's the 1 and 1A part of why the Raiders will win is that the Redskins are beat up. They have like a lot of injuries in their defense, and they're not all that strong to begin with. They got that one cheap shot artist, DJ Swearinger, that plays safety, and they got Josh Norman. And like after that, it's Zach Brown, who's a kind of a middle of the road type player. But then what? Like Ryan Kerrigan's gonna scare us? Like, come on, man. Like I don't think the Raiders are going to have any problem at all on dealing with this Redskins defense. And then to put that little bit extra mustard on it, come on.
One reason why the Redskins could beat the Raiders is the Redskins have a pretty formidable running offense. Last game against the Rams, which the Rams is no slouch for defense. They have a decent defense, at least up front. Chris Thompson, 3 carries, 2 touchdowns, 77 yards. It's kind of a fluke. I'm not expecting that to happen every single game. Rob Kelly, 12 carries for 78 yards.
Who's hurt?
And Samaje Perine, 21 carries for 67 yards. So not any one of them broke 100 yards. Granted, Chris Thompson carried the ball 3 times and had 2 touchdowns. But together, that's a pretty good running game they had against the Rams, right? I mean, you can't look away from that. And so they ran the ball for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they ran the ball 40 times. Now, the Redskins in previous years have been known for their passing game, but if they start adding a run component there, the Raiders are going to have to play honest, and we're going to have to see how good these young linebackers are. We just talked about Nick Morrow, who's coming up. We got Marquell Lee, who, still a rook, and we got Adams. So we'll see how we go. Luckily, I believe Lee is better against the run than he is against the pass, and our front 4 is starting to come together nicely. So if the Redskins get the running game going, though, maybe that's a way to grind the clock, keep the ball out of Derek Carr's hands, so apparently he can't pass it and get intercepted, according to Zach Brown. But if the Redskins can grind the clock, keep the ball out of our hands, that's how you beat a high-powered offense, which the Oakland Raiders are, is you just don't give them the chance to score. And so if the Redskins can establish a running game early and often, they might have a chance to pull off the unthinkable.
I'm not sure you should be referring to them as our front 4 when you're arguing the cause of the opposing team there to beat our team, Sonny. I'm just saying.
I referenced our front 4, the Raiders front 4.
I don't know what's all this Redskin.
I said the Raiders front 4.
You love her. You're a big Redskin.
Go ahead.
Fan.
What's your second reason?
So the second reason that I know that the Raiders are going to win is that Sonny, you know what year it is?
2016. 17.
That's correct, sir. It is
after
not
Prince said
2013 anymore. Thank the Lord. Do you know that the last time that we played them was in 2013? Do you remember that? And
I did not know.
You know who our quarterback was?
Oh, please say it, because he's my number 2 reason why they're going to beat us.
Oh. Well, here's what happened in 2013, and this is why, since it's not 2013, this is why we're going to win, because Matt Flynn was our quarterback.
Oh, Flynn. Okay.
Yeah, because he went in for, well, there you go. Because Terrell Pryor was injured with a concussion. That's why it was Matt Flynn. And so the Raiders were up 14-0 early in that game, and then gave up 24 straight points and lost 24-14. So listen to this stat line. Here's the most Darren McFadden stat line ever. He ran for 29 yards and then left early with an injury. Thanks, D-Mac. That sounds about right. Rashard Jennings came in, had 14 rushes for 45 yards, but not only was he the leading rusher, he was also the leading receiver because he caught the ball 8 times for 71 yards. We were so depleted of talent in 2013. This is obviously prior to Derek Carr coming in. That it's not that day anymore. It is 2017, and the extra point to this is that also in 2013, you know who did score a touchdown that currently still wears an Oakland Raider uniform, or currently wears, I should say, an Oakland Raider uniform?
In 2013?
Yeah.
No.
David Amerson. So speaking... Yeah, he returned an interception back off of Matt Flynn for a touchdown.
That's right, because he was on the Redskins at that time.
That's right.
Okay.
So for another guy that's going to have a little bit of extra mustard on this game, look for David Amerson to have a huge game. You know, the biggest threat that the Redskins have is Terrell Pryor, and I don't know if he'll follow him around and shadow him or not, or if he'll just play one side of the field or not, and we'll find out. But one way or the other, you know, again, the players don't need this extra motivation, but you just seem to see things happen at times, whether that's Dante Culpepper coming back when he played for the Raiders and had that huge game against Miami. Didn't have another huge game for the rest of his career after that, but gosh darn it, he went in there and we kicked the Dolphins' ass. But you just see players have big games against their former teams, especially when they feel they've been done wrong. And the Redskins, you know, They kind of jobbed him. They cut him. They put him on waivers, and Reggie went and snatched him up, and he turned out to be a heck of a ball player for the Raiders. So I would watch for him to have a big game on Sunday. So I would say that would be my second biggest point, is that this team is so far improved compared to what they were like in 2013, and the Redskins, they've kind of regressed. You know, they certainly have. Maybe at quarterback, because RG3 was playing pretty good back then. You think about that, he was actually a pretty good quarterback that first year. So anyways, that's my second reason for the Raiders.
My second reason why the Redskins could beat the Raiders is none other than TP Sr.
Terrell, favorite guy. He was going to be our franchise quarterback, Sonny, remember?
Born on June 20th, 1989 in Jeanette, Pennsylvania, 28 years old, experiencing his 5th season out of Ohio State. The record holder for the longest run by a Raider as a quarterback in the history of the franchise.
Against Pittsburgh.
Terrell Pryor. Senior,
beautiful play.
Who was once the hope and promise of the future of the Raiders organization. That Terrell Pryor. He plays wide receiver for these lovely little Redskins. And on the season, he's caught 8 balls for 97 yards. But here's the deal. He's 6'4", dude. He's a big dude. And again, anything can happen on a Sunday. Yes, the Raiders, in my eyes, trying to be objective here, we're the more complete team. But when you got a 6'4" wide receiver who maybe feels a little shafted towards his former team, he could ball.
Oh,
the same reason you just pointed out that Amerson could ball. What about Pryor? He kind of got lost in the shuffle there, right? Wasn't he Al's last pick, that third round conditional pick or something like that? And so, you know, This guy's been cast off, but on the serious note, props to him, right? He's doing what Tebow should have done, but never did. He couldn't make it as a quarterback, so he changed it up, and now he's a wide receiver. Now, is he great? Well, time will tell. And he's not dropping 100-yard games on anybody and stuff, but, he's caught over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, so that's going to be fun. If nothing else, it'll simply be fun to watch. And I wonder if they'll put Emerson on Terrell Pryor.
Oh, wow.
That would even be more interesting, right? Not quite Andre Rison, Deion Sanders type level, but it'll be kind of fun. Put Emerson on Terrell Pryor.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I give you props for that one because you're right. There's a lot of good storylines there, and we're huge sports fans and huge NFL fans, as well as obviously huge Raider fans. And Sonny and I always root for the story. And you're right. That's a great story.
No, I'm not rooting for him to win. But,
No. But we'll be rooting for the story there. That's going to be a heavily discussed topic on Sunday Night Football for sure. That was a good one.
Same. That's my second. What's your third?
All right. So the last one I have is that on Sunday Night Football, it used to be Monday Night Football. Now it's Sunday night. Sunday Night Football is the time for superstars, Sonny, to shine. And the last time we saw the Raiders on Sunday Night Football was in Oakland. Still to this day, I think probably the most emotionally engaged experience I've had at a football game. Not my favorite game ever attended because we can look back at the stuff that we did with our dads and we can look back fondly on those moments. But as far as like experiencing the Oakland Coliseum and experiencing a football game against the hated rival Denver Broncos, Sunday Night Football, that was the best. And the stars came out that night. And when you think about what the Raiders did that night, it was announcing to the world that they're back. It was announcing to the world the return to greatness. And so when we show up this Sunday for Sunday Night Football on the East Coast, where, like you said earlier, the Raiders for a long time had trouble winning in that time zone and winning on the East Coast. Well, now we got 5 games this year that are going to start at that time. When you look at the Raiders' schedule, a third of it is going to be that 5:30 Pacific start. So this isn't going to be the issue that it was once upon a time, and especially now when you look at the talent. And we have superstars on this team that are going to shine. They are going to be aware that the brightest of the lights are on them. Everybody is watching. It's the most high-profile sporting event of the week. It's a classic matchup. We're going to get into the matchup of the long-term reflection on the Raiders Redskins, but because these teams don't play a lot, so I think that it's the time for the superstars to shine. So we're going to see something special. Now, who that is, I don't know. We got a lot of playmakers on offense. It could be any one of a handful of players. Defensively, do we see a strip sack by Khalil Mack? Do we see Carl Joseph coming in on an edge blitz and knock the ball loose? Do we see Emerson get a pick 6? I don't know, but I'm willing to bet that we're going to see something like that. One of those type things, one of those big explosive moments is going to happen, and it's going to look bitchin' under the lights.
My number 3 reason why the Redskins could beat the Raiders.
We got to switch this around so the Raider guy goes last, just for future reference on this segment.
I got a spin for you.
Oh,
you ready for it?
Oh, no. Okay, go ahead.
Get the commercial button ready.
Okay. Oh, okay.
The number 3 reason why the Redskins could beat the Raiders. There isn't any.
Hey, just one time, I need it.
Raiders Fan Radio.
That was pretty funny.
All right.
Good job. Well done.
I believe Murf has been skipping work, skipping out on laundry day at the house, not attending his kids' football games or music practices or any other kid-related things this week, as he's been scouring the annals of the internet for his segment called Murf's Black Hole of the Internet.
Listen, I don't scour annals for black holes, okay? Let's just write that shit right now.
It's a tight fit. Let's go.
Jeez. That's terrible. Oh, my gosh. All right, so is this where we're at?
Cue the music. Are you supposed to cue the music?
Oh,
Let's get music for this.
No, because remember I set it up and then I hit it.
Oh, I
How
just
many
set it up
times
for
have you done this show? Come on
I
now.
set it up 47. I set it up for you.
All right. So here's what happens. So we're now to the Murf's Black Hole of the Internet segment. And what this is that this is when I come across something, man, and it makes me think of something and it makes me think of something else. And I end up getting lost in the internet, going down the rabbit holes, and I come up with some cool Raiders stuff. So this week with the Washington Redskins on tap, it made me think of something very, very particular.
Murf's Black Hole of the Internet.
A journey that begins where everything ends.
Sonny, settle in for this one. Get your popcorn ready because this is one of my favorite Oakland Raider events, reference points, whatever you want to call it. One of the things I think that absolutely 100% captures the essence of not only the Oakland Raiders, but what it feels like to be an Oakland Raider fan is the NFL Films production of Black Sunday. Black Sunday is the Super Bowl highlight video that NFL Films put together for the Oakland Raiders versus the Washington Redskins, January 22nd, 1984. And it covers so incredibly well the absolute dominant performance that the Raiders had against the Redskins. And back then, the Super Bowls, a lot of them were played during the day, or obviously you're played indoors, and you don't really have the way that it is now. You start during the day and then it turns night. That was kind of a newer thing back then. It turning nighttime. There was other examples of it, but there was a lot of those. Anyways. So to have the cover of night and the Raiders get progressively more and more dominant as they went through this game, and the way that it's produced and presented by NFL Films, to me is one of the most special programming items when it ever comes to the Raiders. So I got some highlights of that. I got 7 clips that I want to play, and they're not all that long. But listen. I had to really trim this thing down because if it were up to me, we would just play the whole dang thing and listen to it. It's so incredible. So you have taking the visuals out of it doesn't remove the impact at all because you have the amazing music of NFL Films and the absolute top-notch, the best voiceover work ever in the history of sports. And that's by one John Facenda. And to even do one better than that, they start the thing with Al Davis.
2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future. And with all the great teams we've had, I think today that this organization, this team, this coaching staff dominated so decisively that 2 things must be said. Not only, in my opinion, are you the greatest Raider team of all time, thank you. I think you rank with the great teams of all time that have ever played any professional sport.
Commitment to excellence, the motto of the Raiders. And once again, Coach Tom Flores fulfilled that commitment in a Super Bowl.
The final score, Los Angeles 38, Washington Redskins 9. They have turned back the team that many just a few weeks ago were trying to rank with the greatest of all time. They have turned them back in the most shattering fashion imaginable.
Oh, I love that Terminator music that kicks in right there. You got to dig that. If that doesn't tell you early 80s like drama, like I don't know what does, but it's it's amazing the way that they start to set the tone, right? They set the tone for what's going on. And I'm not going to play all the individual plays, but I do want to, I like listen to the music and the drama that they bring in and the voiceover work and the vocabulary of John Facenda.
The NFL has had its great teams. They have come from Green Bay, Dallas, Miami, and Pittsburgh. But perhaps none has matched the muscle and mystique of the Raiders.
He references the muscle and the mystique of the Raiders, and then he talks about how this game was a test of men.
When history, the harshest of judges, comes to a decision on Al Davis's Raiders, it will look to Super Bowl 18 for guidance. Like all athletic contests, Super Bowl 18 was not only a game, but a true test of men. And right from the start, the Raiders proved they had the best men.
That's right. The Raiders had the best men in this game. And again, there's the majority of this video is them breaking down the plays. And I'm not going to go down and play a bunch of plays, but the most electrifying play of that night, we've got to play that one. And that is, of course, Marcus Allen and his 74-yard run.
As Washington's hopes faded into the dying daylight, on came Marcus Allen, running with the knife.
Plunkett giving to Allen, sending him wide left. He has to reverse his field, but he gets away for a moment. Comes back up to the middle of 30, 25, 40. Waits past 2 minutes to 50, down to the 40, picking up a blocker, to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown Raiders! Holy Toledo! 7-9. The Raiders are mobbing Marcus Allen, who has just stood a crowd of 72,000 on his collective ear.
So Marcus takes one to the house, and that from that point on, it's pretty much it's completely over. And so then the video shifts a little bit, and it goes from the celebration, the greatness of the Raiders, to the downtrodden nature of the Washington Redskins.
Well, the Raiders said they were going to do it. By golly, so far they are doing it, dominating this Washington Redskin team.
Not many teams have done that to the Redskins.
No team has done that to the Redskins this year.
Oh, poor babies.
When you're getting the piccolo played, it's too dang funny, man, when they play. Okay, so then I got two more. This next one is, I mean, look, Lombardi has some amazing quotes, right? There are some, some of the, obviously Al Davis, some of the most classic NFL quotes in the history of the sport, right? This is my all-time favorite. Right here, this next sequence of what John Facenda says, the drama of it, and just the amazing kudos that he's given to the Raiders. To me, there's nothing better than this next one.
For the Redskins, this was a defeat the dimensions of which they had never experienced. A rout from which no honor could be salvaged. At the heart of this darkness was the Raider defense. They had stripped the Redskins of their most trusted weapons and sacked Joe Theismann 6 times. Nothing on earth that blocked or tackled or passed or ran could have stopped the Raiders on Black Sunday.
I know, right? Come on. If no honor could be salvaged, like
I want to go have a third kid right now.
All right, and then we're gonna close it out. The big celebration, the big finalization. It's amazing.
And the Raiders take it away, and the Raiders celebration will start.
Super Bowl 18, the Raiders again scaled the heights of football greatness and stood alone on the summit. A team of young men filled with promise and old veterans filled with pride. The 1983 Raiders are an honor to the team's glorious past and the world champions of pro football's present.
Whew. Need a cigarette.
Is that not amazing?
Cool. That's freaking cool, dude. Just admit it. You were searching on YouTube, found that, watched it, and said you're going to use that as a black hole thing. That's cool. I haven't heard that and watched it in years, and that's freaking cool. And like, you can't beat Facenda's voice, right? Like that voice. Oh my gosh, man! It's golden. That thing, yeah. That thing sounds as good as Derek Carr looks. That voice is phenomenal. That voice is phenomenal. The way he throws a football.
That is just, again, I could rhapsodize about it all night long. It's just
wait. You could what?
Rhapsodize? Like
what the hell's rhapsodize?
Like when you sing a rhapsody, like just sing its praises. Like
wow.
I mean,
good job. That's a word.
Well, thanks, man. It's just amazing. Look, if you ever want to watch it, you can find it on YouTube. But every year, NFL Network always plays sequentially every single Super Bowl highlight video from Super Bowl I all the way up to the latest one. So I always have them recorded on. I have the one against the Vikings, the one against the Eagles, and then obviously that one. And I just keep it recorded. And so thankfully I was able to find it on YouTube to pull the audio, because otherwise I was going to have to record it off my TV somehow. I don't want to do that, but it's just beautiful, man. It's just, look, here's the thing, Raider fan. That's the last time we won a championship. So, a lot of, Niner fans, whoever else likes to give us, Pittsburgh fans, likes to give us a hard time. When was the last time you won? Well, that was it. And there's a reason that we all are so prideful in that. And when you watch the show and you see Howie Long and you see, Alzado, and you see Matt Millen and Rod Martin and Cliff Branch and Hayes and Haynes and Plunkett and, Shell and Upshaw and Reggie Kinlaw and Van McElroy. And I mean, it's just, you could go on and on. The players that were on that team. I mean, you're talking about the legends of the legends, other than Madden and Stabler and those guys from the 70s teams. When you're talking about a lot of those players from that 70s were still there. Ted Hendricks was still there. Like these guys were still around, and it's just beautiful, man. So I can't say enough about it, and I encourage you to go out there. If you've never seen it, you've never heard it, go out there and do it. And when I saw that the Redskins was who the Raiders were playing, I mean, I'm pretty familiar with that thing, so it wasn't so much of an internet black hole this week as it has been at other times. But if that's an excuse for me to play clips from that thing, I'll do it all day long, because I just absolutely love it.
Heck yeah, man. It is Black Sunday. It's Black Sunday night against the Red. Oh man, that's kind of cool. That just brought a whole new level of just importance to the game and stuff like that. Kind of cool. Final score predictions, Murf. What do you think for the Raiders-Redskins game? What do you think the score is going to be this week?
Well, it's interesting. And when you look at the Vegas odds, the Raiders are 2.5-point favorites, which is, you figure the home team's already going to get 3 on the road. So that's like a touchdown roughly. Some interesting numbers from Vegas, and this will all lead into my prediction. The Raiders are, and this is, it's not a gambling show by any means, but I think that it's interesting when you look at the Vegas odds on things, what that will tell you, because typically they're so pretty close of what the results are of the game. The Raiders are 3-0, and straight up and against the spread on the road versus the Redskins all time. The Redskins are 3-11 straight up and against the spread at night. And they're 2-9 against the spread in 11 games at home in September. So I thought that was very interesting. So it doesn't look good from a betting perspective. It's definitely everything's working against the Redskins. And as of right now, they're allowing 324 yards a game. That does not bode well to a high-powered offense coming into town like the Raiders. And when you look at the red zone numbers, the last stats I'll throw at you, the red zone numbers, the Raiders right now are 71% in the red zone. The Redskins are 33% in the red zone. I think that this game has the makings of a blowout.
33% in the red zone?
33% in the red zone. So, I mean, I don't think that we're going to see a blown out like we saw, in the Super Bowl there we just listened to. And I don't think we're going to see a blowout like we saw against the Jets last week, but I'm thinking like a 4-score to 2-score kind of thing. So like I'm going to say 28-10, long answer to your question, Raiders over the Redskins on Sunday Night Football.
I think we're going to have a little bit of a shootout. Jordan Reed, questionable going into the game against the Raiders, but he's a tight end. He's a good tight end. He's getting a little old, but we have trouble with tight ends.
Yes, we do.
And so if he's there, that's going to be interesting. Conley is going to cover Terrell Pryor. That would be kind of fun to watch, huh? That would be fun to watch. 2 former Ohio State Buckeyes going at each other.
Nice.
But I think Kirk Cousins is going to throw. I think he's going to have some passes. I think he's gonna get his, and I think Derek Carr's going to get his too. I just think Derek Carr is going to get a little more than old Kirk Cousins over there. I think the Raiders' offense is a little more efficient. It's a little more balanced. It's a little more unpredictable, as we can do a lot with what we got. And I think if the Redskins, we shut down the tight ends, take away Pryor, they don't got a lot of other guys who can beat us. I think the Redskins running back by committee. I think our Raiders defense is a little better than we all thought they would be. Now, granted, we've played the Jets, but against the Titans are a good team, and they're a good running team. And we seem to keep them at bay, so to say, right? They didn't, run down our throats like we thought they were. So, I don't think the Redskins are the best team we've faced this year, offense and defense on the side of the ball. So I think we win. I think they might score 2-3 touchdowns on us. So, I'm thinking 35-21, maybe another 42. Maybe they put up another 40 points. Through 2 games, Raiders have 35.5 points per game, so we're scoring, and we knew we would. So this will be fun. This will be a fun game. And again, it's week 3, and the Raiders are in a primetime game.
Oh, beautiful.
Let's just think about it for a second. Us longtime Raiders fans who are listening, it's week 3. The Raiders are 2-0, which doesn't happen often ever, and they're playing in a primetime game. Like that is, and it's not because the other team is really good.
And Matt Flynn is not our quarterback.
It's because we're really good. We're 2-0, and good things are happening for the Raiders. It could be a magical year, Murph. It could be a magical year. We were talking about it back in April and May, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But as for this episode, the Tyrone Wheatley episode, number 47 of Raiders Fan Radio, must come to a close here. Thanks for tuning in. Check us out, RaidersFanRadio.com, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. All those are Raiders Fan Radio as well. Facebook, I have a profile there called Sonny, Raiders Fan Radio. Murf has one as well called Murf, Raiders Fan Radio. We're very clever in how we name things on Facebook there. And then make sure you hit up DC Metro Raiders Club, Northern Virginia Raiders Club, or Hampton Roads Raiders Club. If you're going to the game this week in DC, hit them up on Facebook or on Twitter. They're very, very responsive. They get back to you pretty quick. Might be sleeping right now, but we'll see. And Murph, anything else before we go?
Nothing that blocked, nor passed, nor tackled, or ran could stop the Raiders on Black Sunday. This Sunday night will be Black Sunday, number 2.
Raider Nation, wherever, forever.
For the Redskins, this was a defeat the dimensions of which they had never experienced. A rout from which no honor could be salvaged.